act of questioning him as an act of disrespect. Because if to ask a certain kind of question, you should ask it in a closed environment, not in the open where people could hear your discontent and could act upon it. So this could be a reason why the boss decided to strangle and instigate Khairul. Okay, the next is collectivism versus individualism. Singapore is generally viewed as a collective society. The needs of the society outweigh that of the individual. In this context, Khairul, the individual, acts of defiance might be deemed by the boss to breed discontent in the workforce. By asking the reason why he is underpaid, it could stir feelings in his other colleagues and could cause a riot as seen by the PRCs in the bus driver. So the SMRT incident. So the boss did not want such a thing to happen and disrupt his workforce. Next, long-term versus short-term. Singapore is viewed as a long-term society, as we've seen by PAP's policies where they tend to sacrifice short-term happiness for long-term success. How is this applicable in this context? Okay, so for Khairul now, he does not have a job because the boss did not want to take him back onto his job after the incident. So having lodged a complaint, Khairul's complaint is already under record. So any future employer who sees Khairul and looks at his credentials do not want to employ him because it might deter them. Khairul could be deemed as a troublemaker who might disrupt the flow in the future. So Khairul is now in limbo and has to leave off his cousin and with the help of the NGO. Okay, this concludes my part of the presentation, and now I present Wen Kang to help me to continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, having understood the cultural traits that could lead to Khairul's boss in behaving this way, let us look at what Khairul did that was right and what was actually wrong. So firstly is he chose to report the whole issue to the police at the end, and that was a correct choice. And then the wrong choice was to keep silent for nearly a year. Now, why was reporting the issue at the end a correct choice? Because first of all, he was incorrectly paid. Instead of the $24 a day, he was only paid $22 a day. And of course, he wasn't even paid twice the pay for working on a Sunday, which is supposed to be part of Singapore's labour law. And also, he suffered physical abuse from the boss. And we believe that is the driving factor for why he decided to choose to report to the police at the end. Now, we know that Khairul has been avoiding the confrontation for nearing a year. Now, this actually encourages the boss to continue this mistreatment because the boss feels that it's alright to give Khairul a lesser pay. And even after Khairul confronted the boss, there wasn't any proper communication between the two of them. And thus, this led to the problem escalating and growing bigger. Now, we can relate Khairul's mood of conflict response to this model here. Now, we have the level of assertiveness, cooperativeness. And let's talk about competing. So competing is actually the least cooperative because it means that one party wins everything and the other party has to accommodate, and usually it comes hand in hand with this accommodating here. So for collaborating is usually what we will say is that it's the best outcome between both, as in for both the parties. But this rarely happens because in the first place there is a conflict of interest. Now, avoiding means that the party tries to escape from the issue, not resolving the issue. However, for avoiding, it is appropriate if the issue is not that important. Compromising means that two parties take a step back and try to find a win-win solution in the middle. Now, let me ask you guys a question. So, what do you think is Khairul's mood of conflict response?
Avoiding.
Yes, correct. Avoiding, precisely. Because he has chosen to avoid the confrontation for nearing a year, so that must be avoiding. Now, so what is avoidance? So withdrawing from conflict or confrontation physically or psychologically. Now, we find that avoidance in this issue is actually an inappropriate one. Why is that so? Because money is important, especially to Khairul. And furthermore, money is a sensitive issue in Singapore, I believe. So, and therefore it must be rectified immediately. However, Khairul has delayed this issue for too long. and hence this escalated the problem, leading to violence eventually. Now let's talk about the boss. So the boss did not adhere to the agreement with Khairul that regarding the daily pay, and also he did not follow Singapore labour's law, which means that what the boss have been doing is actually illegal. Now, after Khairul confronted the boss actually ignored Khairul, which means that it actually caused a kind of communication barrier between the two of them. And we all know that in order for every misunderstanding or resolving conflict, we need communication to clear up all this. Furthermore, the boss even resorted to violence, and that's definitely a wrong thing to do. Now, even after Khairul reported the incidents to the police, the boss still did not personally apologize to Khairul, nor did he try to return back Khairul his wages. Therefore, we say that ultimately it's the fault of the boss. Now, let's look into what are the lessons that we can learn from this. Fuad, please.
Okay, I'll just touch on some of the lessons that we can learn from this incident itself. So, the importance of practicing effective communication. Why is this so? Is because effective communication is important in various spheres of life. It's so as to avoid misunderstandings, fulfills the human need for socialization, and helps you to get what you want by expressing yourself appropriately. Also, with the influx of more foreigners coming to respect and understand the different cultures so as to avoid misunderstanding as managed itself. Also, money is also a sensitive issue that should be handled appropriately and formally. This is an issue, so in this case, what the manager should have done is that to apologize and manage the situation professionally. Also look for some administrative lapse that he could look on into to avoid the misunderstanding itself. Also, he could have addressed the issues early. Why is this so? We will not only resolve conflicts but also reflect the level of professionalism as a manager, so the workers do not undermine your reputation and your own credibility. So what is the importance of effective communication? Basically, some of the well-known effective managers know the ingredients of communicating effectively. It helps to build relationships, promotes mutual understanding to have a safer workplace so that the employees can contribute to organizational success. Also, managers should have adopt an atmosphere of open communication. Open door policy so that employees can surface their issues without any problems. Also, managers should engage in active listening, so employees will know that communication is a two-way street. Also, establish a firm connection between employees and managers so that the managers and workers can work as one. So, burning bridges will not only cause conflicts but rather bring down the productivity and credibility of the company itself. So, how do we attain this effective communication? Basically, manifesting in constructive beliefs and attitudes. The way your attitude brings about as a manager affects your workers. So you have to choose to be honest, patient, sincere, respectful, and sensitive to others' feelings and others' competence. Also, you should practice effective listening skills. As a manager, you should listen to others and engage in active communication. Avoid the impulse to cut their words in order to input your own thoughts. Different people have different characters, so some individual characters should be addressed appropriately. Observe people's interactions and individual differences in communication styles and respect them as much as possible. Also, have emotional awareness. Why is this important? Because emotions, not thoughts, that motivates us. So understanding yourself and employees is crucial in this. Understanding your employees and yourself is crucial in having a better workplace. So in conclusion, how does it apply us as future engineers? Be a positive communicator. Why? Because managers, when we graduate in the executive level, managers who communicate in positive ways are more productive and feel more positive about their own work. Respond to your employees in a timely and a very professional manner. In matters of complaints and investigation, follow up with your own employee and ensure that your matters are resolved. Establish good relationships with your employees and subordinates. Why? Because the quality of employer and employee relationship affects each employee's morale, productivity, and eventually the company's own bottom line. Feedback. Even the most skilled and most experienced managers have difficulty producing feedback. because so how do you do this? Is to provide opportunity